weeks in a row in that parent square. Yeah.
Did you win?
Yep, Austin played really, really well.
Yeah.
They already started the manifest.
Gotcha.
Not hitting his driver every time. Having him hit one less spot.
He can get in. I mean, just call Mrs. Burnett. She would take him in a heartbeat. You know, yeah. So,
It is, but
You were chatty too.
because he acted
What
that
do
way.
I think this shot?
yeah.
He said, Ryan goes, go for
You
it.
guys ready? Are you ready?
That's always ready.
All right.
It's fun.
All right. It is 5:30, and so I will call to order the Tipton Community School Corporation School Board Work Session. And I believe, Dr. Glaze, this is kind of your show, so I'm going to hand it off to you.
Yeah, you're going to get tired of hearing my voice today. For those of you that have not been through this before, what we do is basically a trial run for our public hearing on September the 23rd, and just kind of go through everything, all in everything budget. And so you'll get to hear this again on the 23rd. Hopefully, it'll be maybe a little bit better. Maybe we'll, have a little song and dance going along with it. Mr. Jaworski has been working on some of that. But anyway, we're ready to go with all things budget. Okay, so this is the proposed budget for 2026. Just as a very quick reminder on how the whole process works. Again, long ago, we used to have mini buckets. Isn't that right, Mr. Jaworski? Many buckets of dollars coming into the school. Now we have three. So basically, we have the education fund bucket, which is primarily money from the state. The operation fund, which is primarily local property tax, and then also debt service, which is also local property tax. And the way all of this flows into our schools, so the state dollars basically come to us through the foundation grant, which is approximately $7,000 per student. Then the complexity grant, which basically takes care of those students that are on free and reduced lunch, that percentage of students, and they come up with some kind of a formula to make that happen. This is the state special ed funding. We get also funding for special ed from the federal government, which actually goes straight to KSIC, which is our co-op, and we use the state level special education money. We also get career technical money, and we get innovation money, which is we don't get the innovation money, so the charter innovation does not happen, but we do get the honors grant, which is some additional dollars for kids who are receiving an academic honors diploma. So basically, when we're looking at just kind of potential revenue, and Brooke, you're welcome to hit me in the head if I say something stupid. So basically, what we're looking at in education fund revenue is around 11,496,472. That's based on an enrollment of 1,320 in-person students, which we get 100% funding for, and then 17 full-time virtual students that we get 85% funding for. Now, our actual numbers are a little bit better than this. We always base the number on a very conservative enrollment. So it does look a little bit better than what this number is representing. So once we have that final count day, which will be October 1st, we'll be able to share that with you. But we should be a little bit better than what this is representing. The operation fund revenue. So once again, we kind of play a little bit of a game with our assessed value. We base everything on a tax rate based on our 85% of our 2025 assessed value. We have yet to receive our anticipated assessed value for 2026. So we're kind of waiting on that a little bit. So the advertised rate that we would have for the operation budget would be 55 cents. So essentially, we know that this rate is going to be higher than what the final rate will be. But again, you always advertise high, and then the DLGF does their magic and lowers it down. Debt service. So we're looking at revenue of around 4.8 million. The advertised rate, again, 85% of the 2025 assessed valuation is 53 cents, almost 54. So overall, the total advertised rate will be 1.095.
Ryan,
Yes.
the debt service rate?
Mhm.
I'm sorry, maybe I missed something. Isn't it supposed to be below? I thought we were 40.
It will likely be there, but
This is
we-
just, okay.
it's
all right,
because we're basing it on the 85%.
Okay,
That's why.
okay,
Yeah. So
but we should be there.
I would assume, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you never know, but we,
Okay,
until we really, I mean, there are some corporations that have had like a 12% assessed valuation increase. There are some that have had decreases. So we're hoping that we're going to be on the increase side. That'll tell us a lot. So, so the average daily enrollment, we will get that October 1st. That's what we call the infamous count day. Again, assessed valuation does have impacts on operation fund and taxes. Also, there's the statewide average income also has an impact on the operation fund. Circuit breaker, which again, are property tax caps, and then projected supplemental homestead credits. So right now, that's estimated to be in the operation funds, a loss of 876,300 for TCSC in 26. And then we have federal grants that are added in there. That would be the Title I, Title II, Title III, and Title IV that supplement some of our funds. And then we, of course, we have investment returns for basically the dollars we have deposited in the bank. So what happens is once a bill is enacted, we get a real quick snapshot so we can kind of see where everything is falling with funding. And so basically they have an algorithm. The state number is always a lot lower than our actual number. So they're basing this on 1,318 students. But it kind of gives you an idea of how these other areas are figured. So they're saying for the complexity index that we are going to be at a 0.1270. And so that is added on to each student so we have the foundation, which is kind of the money that every single student gets. It's the same amount all across the state. And then they add in the complexity index, which is going to be different depending on the school's free and reduced lunch rate. So that's basically the total basic tuition support is going to be $9,874,629. And then we get in money for special education. This comes from our December 1 count. We send in that count once a year. It's always a little bit later than what our initial attendance count is. And then the honors academic performance, that always comes from the year before. So we would be looking at however our students graduated in 2024. That will be how that is calculated. And then our non-English speaking students, which right now we're currently at around 50 students. And that just is a per pupil dollar that they give us.
is
So-
that number up again?
I'm
Is
sorry.
that number up again?
It's up.
Yeah.
Yep, it's up. And so basically what we're looking at is 11,478,000, which is different than the number because our number is a little bit different as far as what we used for the budget. But basically what we're getting per student is $8,710, somewhere around there. So these are our actual numbers. So Brooke goes in and does her magic. This number is what everybody gets. And then the complexity index is around $500 per student. We get around $700 per student for special ed. Now, I mean, obviously, not all of our kids are special ed, but in order to, for confidentiality purposes and everything else, they're just
Divided
kind of
out by-
all, it's all kind of lumped in and then divided out by per pupil. The career technical education, this is an area that we get, what you've heard me talk about 30A funding. So the 30A funding would be all of our students that are taking CTE courses, also our students that are taking dual credit courses, all these different things. That allows us to be able to pull some revenue from that different category. And that's been an area that has continued to increase here at Tipton over the last 6 years. There's some question that the way that's funded may look a little different in the future. So around $44 of that, again, is academic honors performance, and then non-English, $14.70 per student, for a grand total of $8,709. Okay, so what does Education Fund take care of? The Education Fund primarily takes care of teacher salaries and benefits, principal office salary and benefits, special programs, high ability, special education, summer school, CTE, remediation, instructional aides, guidance counseling, nurses, speech pathology, also our classroom supplies and equipment, educational media services, curricular materials, then athletic, academic, and sponsor stipends, which is all part of our collective bargaining agreement. So that's all taken care of out of the Education Fund. So basically where the revenue comes from when we're talking about the Education Fund, it comes from the Basic Foundation Grant, is equal all across the state. And then we add in complexity, academic performance, special education, so forth and so on. And then there's also some miscellaneous revenue that could come in, reimbursement from summer school, which is typically about 40% of our actual cost. So we will get that back. What is new this year is $160 that is coming out in the funding formula for curricular materials per student. And the difference with that is unbargainable. So you have to take that $160 per student off of that $8,700 that we're getting per student. Because that is money that is dedicated towards curricular materials and cannot be bargained. So when you look at the first number, you'll go, wow, looks like we had an okay increase. Well, it looks good, but it's kind of smoke and mirrors because the 160 of that increase is curricular materials, which was its own separate byline a year ago.
Did that number change this year?
Nope, still the same. Operation fund. So basically what we use for operation fund is transportation, capital projects, central office staffing, utilities, custodial and maintenance staffing, property insurance, and then we can pay for bus replacement with that. However, currently we are using GEO bonds for that purpose. So that's not a operation fund expense. Basically how the revenue comes in for operation fund, it's funded by local taxes, the CVET, FIT, and excise tax. And the fund, we are allowed to transfer up to 15% of our education fund revenues. We actually ended up being at around 3% that we've transferred out of education into our operation fund. Local property taxes. Then the way that so we talked a little bit about AV. So say our AV goes up 12%. Well, we cannot increase our budget 12%. We are capped at 4%. So the operation fund can only grow 4%. And that's this part of this maximum levy growth quotient, which is based on a 6-year average of non-farm personal income and calculated annually by the state budget agency. So they just give us that number and say, you can only grow by 4%. And then the Department of Local Finance estimates then our property tax caps and potential loss, which you talked about earlier, from revenue from the tax caps and then the homestead credit of 800,000. So just thought it was important for us to kind of see where we stand in relationship to districts around us as far as our operation fund rate. So this is just a real quick snapshot of areas, schools, and their operation fund rate. So we are kind of right in the middle, and around 45 cents is our rate. Pretty close here to Tri-Central and also to Clinton Prairie. You have, a wide disparity. You have, Hamilton Heights, which has a really low rate. They have a low rate because they have a much larger assessed value than what we do. So it all kind of works in with the assessed value and how all of those numbers are calculated in order to create the budget. Then you go all the way up here to Elwood, which is 68 cents, and that is by far the highest in the area. So operating referenda rates, there are a couple of schools that have an operating referendum. So we have Sheridan, which is at a 25-cent operating referendum, and then we have Alexandria, which is at a 32-cent operating referendum. And you'll be able to tell on this next slide, well, we'll get to that in a minute. So basically, what debt service is taking care of as far as, we talked about these are all the operations rates plus the operation referendum. So the debt service fund, again, what it takes care of is pays lease rentals, general obligation bonds, associated fees. Then the revenue comes from property taxes, CVET, license, excise tax, and all those little fun things. So sharing the debt service rate, and what I was about to say is you'll notice that Alexandria has a very low debt service rate because they have an operating referendum. So they've kind of shuffled the cards a little bit. And you also will notice, and now the anomaly there would be Clinton, I think it's, it's Alexandria and Sheridan. So Sheridan still has a pretty high debt service rate. Then they also have the 25 cents on top of that for their referendum that they're using. So again, Sheridan, a really fast-growing district. They're building as about as quickly as they can. So in a little bit different scenario than some.
How are all the schools to the right of us handling the new legislation about being over 40 cents? No, I mean, I'm just a
Yeah,
serious question, right? Aren't they supposed to go through those steps and?
It depends, again, it depends on what their AV is going to look like. But yeah, I mean, so what they will have to do, really basically anybody that would be here on up, if they wanted to issue additional debt, they would have to do the petition remonstrance.
They're okay at this rate because they were there when they passed
They were there
legislation,
when they passed.
but they're gonna have a lot of
Right.
more
Right.
steps.
And I will say, our rate will go up. So we will be above 40 cents, probably not this next year, but definitely the year after that, because that's when the AV starts to do this and edge down a little bit. So that's going to make our rates go up. That's just the ebb and flow of the process. So we would issue
It's
no
debt we
more,
already have, right? So
Yeah.
we don't have to
Right.
do,
right. But
but we would have trouble getting more
yes,
money.
if we issued no debt whatsoever, there's a very high probability that we will go above that 40 cents in 27. So just kind of overall tax rate comparison. When we're looking at this, Tipton looks pretty good. I mean, we're near the bottom here, and then you've got all the way up here near the top. Again, Sheridan is in a situation where they have that 25-cent operating referendum, and you've got Alexandria. They also have that referendum as well. So they're a little bit on that, over the dollar side of things. And, but again, looking at our comparison, we are actually in pretty good shape compared to the rates of surrounding schools.
Do we know if real estate agents use that try to get people to come to Tipton County?
I would hope so.
I mean, I've lived in
Yeah.
areas where that's a really,
Yeah.
really big deal.
Well, and I think that's, I mean, if you're living in Hamilton County and you want to cross over the county line, you're going to pay a lot less in taxes than what you're paying here. And, so that's,
Maybe we should
That's
send
a
that
big-
chart to all the local real estate
hey,
agents.
I have no problem doing that. So, yep, straight out of the DLGF. Yeah, that's not a problem. And then just to kind of show you a little bit, you know, we've really been under this philosophy over the last 6 years, really to do rate management. So we've really tried to keep our rate consistent. We don't really want these peaks and valleys. We did have a little bit of an uptick here. And I was trying to remember why that happened. It was because our AV came in a little bit lower than what was anticipated. And then everything exploded here with AV. So that's when we had this big drop. So it's, you know, but really, it's been pretty consistent around this. We've never gone over $1. It's been pretty much in this level, really for a long time. So, actual revenue per student, and this actually comes from Policy Analytics. And really what I wanted to make sure that we were sharing here is this is revenue that is coming from the education fund and the operation fund, and to show how we are spending those dollars. So you'll notice there's a couple things here. The state average is here, and I know it's not real easy to see. State average is here. We are actually above the state average when you combine our operations and our education fund. So we're a little above the state average. Sheridan, of course, they have this extra dollars coming in because of their referendum. And but for the most part, very similar to what Sheridan has as far as dollars coming in. So as we're breaking this down, TCSC revenue is higher than the state average per student. 76% of the revenue comes from the state funding formula. So 76% of our dollars come from the state tuition support. 24% basically is coming from local property taxes. So actual expenditures per student, you'll notice that this number is a little bit lower than that number. And the reason for that is we try to be very cautious. That's about a 5% that we try to save back in order to cushion our cash balances. So you might say, well, why are we spending every single dollar? Well, that would be a very bad business practice. And so we want to make sure that we have money for the future. So about 5% of that is going to be, you know, that again, those cash balances that we all see in each one of these funds. So we are spending around $10,600 per student when we calculate education fund and operation fund and then divide it by our enrollment. So essentially what that means is that, again, our expenditures are above state average. 85% of our expenditures per student are dedicated to staff salaries and benefits, and that's all staff. So that's teachers, that's paras, that's cafeteria, that's the whole shooting match. About 5%, the second largest, is basically transportation. So we're talking about bus drivers, bus maintenance, not the cost of buses, but definitely bus maintenance, fuel, all those things. So that's about 5%. 3% of it is going to be supplies and technology. 3% is utilities, 2% purchase services, and then 1% is insurance. So basically that's how we're carving up those dollars that we are spending. So basically kind of the budget history over the last 6 years. So you'll kind of notice how our budgets have increased, and this is our overall budget, everything combined. So that's taking into consideration education fund, operation fund, and debt service. And so our current, you know, what we're looking at for this current year is, you know, $22,202,535. You will notice a couple of things. first of all, we are using this, again, this 85% of our AV in order to calculate all of this. We will eventually get our 2026 AV, and so that may look a little bit different. So basically what we're looking at, this number does not include what we're doing as an additional appropriation out of the rainy day fund. And one thing that we're doing differently is we are going to go ahead and ask the board to approve an additional appropriation out of rainy day fund because we're just not exactly sure what's going to be going on with all these changes with SEA 1. So it's more or less just as a precaution. So it does include that additional appropriation out of rainy day when we add another 250,000 on top of that number. Okay. Again, so that kind of gives you an idea. The one thing I want you to also be aware of is as we're looking at these numbers and how they've increased, and you will notice the difference between this number and this number, not very much. And that is due to how we're being hit in operations. It's also how we are being hit in the education fund. Even though we do have an increase in overall funding, enrollment does have a key to that. So as enrollment declines, that's going to actually suppress the amount of dollars that we get. So again, not a whole lot of what we call new money. And that new money is what we use when we're talking about raises and when we're talking about what we can do differently. There's not a whole lot of that. So this kind of draws this to your attention a little bit. So this increase includes the $160 per student for curricular materials. So we're looking at an overall budget increase of around $56,000 with negative, so with the operation fund being $151,000 less than it was the year before. And then with the education fund only growing about $5,000. So, again, going to be challenging. It's going to be a very challenging time. Now, this is a worst case scenario. If we hold true with our enrollment, which again is higher than what we've calculated, we will have a little bit more money that will hopefully be able to be used for some salary increases. So we just want to, hopefully everything will stay steady. And, we're diligently, looking at the enrollment and getting kids, figuring out where kids are, especially kids who may not be showing up right now. We have 2 kids that are technically no shows, and we are working with authorities to figure out where those kids are, which is quite a task these days. These days. So we feel like the number that we're currently at is probably in the ballpark. But
Did you say that's higher than what the state estimated?
yes,
Yeah, state estimate us at 1302.
I
As of
just
last
missed.
count, we were at 1340 in person and 18 virtual.
So that's about where we were last year, so we didn't lose.
Right.
Not like we had been losing.
exactly. So we continue to have small kindergarten numbers, but we grew in the high school.
Got a lot of transference.
Yes, and that's great. That's great. That's a different trend than what we've had.
Like the busing, like they didn't move in, they're like coming in from other.
They're coming in from other
Okay.
schools. Yeah. So we had that growth in the high school, which really helped us a lot.
I have a question back on slide 31.
Sure.
So we have had fewer students each year,
Yes.
and the total budget, this is just an observation, it's up $5 million, and we have fewer students. How much of the legislation about minimum teacher pay, because that's 85% of our, that has to be a large effect, right?
Yeah.
The
Well,
salaries and benefits are,
we went through some really good funding years there too. So I think that that's important to remember.
yeah, jump So
Yeah, the
it really
23-24 funding years were pretty unbelievable. That's when we had 7% and I think 6% in the second year. And that's, again, it was inflationary probably, but the revenue was there. And so the funding increased.
I'm
So,
look, just from a look at the
Yeah.
chart, it's up $5 million in 5 years. How are
Right.
we? And we have fewer students. How are we?
yeah,
But the biggest expense is teacher salary, and I know they've upped the minimum teacher
Right.
salary. So
right,
I'm just thinking, and benefits aren't getting cheaper.
Nope. Nope.
Even though that's what 1%.
right.
That it's still a big number.
Oh, it is. It's the benefits and salaries, again, they're big numbers.
I'm just trying to get a grasp on
Nope.
where are the dollars going?
Yep.
Why they go up, but we still don't have any money.
Right, right. And again, a lot of this, like you said before, when at 2021, I think our beginning pay was, I think it was 37,000, and now we're at 46.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Plus, you had to raise everyone else's pay.
so we've made some huge strides. I'm sorry, we're not at 46. We want to be at 46, but we're actually at 44. So, yeah.
Someone back there is going to correct you.
Yeah. But so I mean, we've had that big increase, which has been good. I mean, again, providing those additional dollars, that's what it's about, and trying to reward our teachers as much as possible. So basically, just kind of talking about some inflationary pressures, and I use the electric bill. You all have experienced electric bills. I mean, they're just going through the roof. I mean, in your home and everything else, ours is going through the roof. And so basically, we have been hit really hard with increases in our electric bill. Now, understand a couple of things. We are an Energy Star district, which means we are one of the most efficient districts in the country. We're at like 95% efficiency. So we're in really good shape on the use side, but with changes in electrical rates and in demand time, and we had to end up changing our category to more of a commercial category. It really has had its impact on us. So, this first year, not so bad, but then we have this $95,000 increase. We are on track for another big increase of another $25,000, so another 6% increase. And so that's not factored in there. But again, this kind of shows that, yeah, I mean, the money, might look like it's coming in more, but our expenses have drastically changed. Really, without any big changes on our side. In fact, we're probably more efficient because we replaced a chiller at the elementary school, and we also replaced several air handlers throughout the campus. So, I mean, again, we are able to put in the most efficient equipment as we did this building project. And then, again, we still have these increases.
Before you go on this one, how much of this, the $95,000 increase, like with our negotiations with Tipton Utilities, I can't remember how many years, or they gave us kind of
They did.
a slow increase rather than all at once.
They gave it to us over 3 years. Am I right, Rob?
Mhm.
And
It's
again,
23, 24, and then this year. So we're in
Yeah.
the last year of
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
so I mean that has been the big increase. And again, I'm not. This is not a blame game for Tipton Utilities.
No.
I mean,
They work. with us.
they were great partners. But this is also an area where we've had some expenses that we just plain and simply can't control. And we will bring you some suggestions here in the next month or two about a way that we might be able to combat some of this. But we'll share that when we get a little bit more information. But again, this is just kind of an example. Another example that I don't have a chart would be really just our property and casualty insurance, different, I mean, those numbers have just continued to escalate as, you know, we have more and more extremes in weather. That's just getting pushed onto us as, you know, different schools from, you know, all around the country are losing roofs because of wind speed and tornadoes and everything else. That's another inflationary pressure that is coming our way. So basically, just wanted to review quickly kind of our cost-cutting measures. Thanks to Brooke, we were able to get kind of our staffing reductions, and as always, we are looking at staffing. We look to see if if there are positions that we need to continue to fund, how we can move some responsibilities around to make us more efficient. So with this upcoming year, we were able to decrease our spending by $268,000. And this would be across operations and the education fund. We've reduced the supply budgets of all of our staff. We put a cap on how much money they could spend within those budgets. And again, with the idea that if there's an emergency that comes up, we'll figure out a way. And then we've also slashed our maintenance budgets, and then we've also eliminated several service agreements that we've had that we had last year that we do not have this year. So we've really worked hard to prepare for this because we knew it was coming. And so we've tried to be very proactive in how we've budgeted and how we've looked forward in this situation. But anyway, we are cognizant of it, and we have a committee that's going to dive deeper into this, and you'll be able to look at those numbers and really kind of see exactly where we've made some reductions and give us some ideas on where we might be able to make some additional reductions. We've also reduced staff. So this is just from 2019 and how much we've reduced. The number of total staff didn't change much because we moved a couple of teachers from the classified to the certified ranks. One of which in the elementary PE, that was one example where we were paying that person as an hourly employee, and we moved him over to the certified as he has an emergency license and getting his emergency license in PE. So just kind of those examples where we've been able to do a little bit of shuffling. We still have a decrease in our certified number, but it just kind of remained constant as far as our classified. We did have a bit of an uptick in admin, and that's mostly because our new athletic director has an administrator's license. And so we've added him to the administrator line where before that was considered to be a non-certified position.
So that didn't affect the budget in any way.
It's just shuffling. Yeah. Bus replacement. Just when you thought all the fun was about to be done. Okay. So bus replacement, good old-fashioned hand, or old-fashioned printed stuff. The DLGF creates this little document for us, and it is not real easy to put into a PowerPoint. So you're just getting the actual paper version of it. So basically what we have to do is we have to tell the DLGF if we intend to buy buses or not. So right now we have one bus that we're looking at to purchase in 2026. I do not recommend buying a bus because currently when you are ordering a bus, they have about a $20,000 tariff surcharge on them. And not knowing exactly what's happening with tariffs, I don't want to spend $20,000 more for a bus than we have to. So I will hope that in a year, some of that will settle down and we may be able to get a bus at a more reasonable cost. This money would be, our GO bond that we passed a couple of years ago, would purchase these buses. So again, regardless of whether that's money that's paid out of operations or out of a GO bond, we have to let the DLGF know that we are considering a bus in 2026. That's that. This is the capital projects. Those of you that have sat in on this little soiree before know that this is kind of something that was left over from a time when we used to get a capital projects budget. It was its own tax rate, and we would get those dollars, and we had some control over that rate. It all became part of the operation fund. So even though we have to do this, it's not, it's a little untrue. We're just kind of doing it to make sure that we have taken care of the legal responsibility. So you might see some things in here like, that look pretty darn vague. The reason why they're vague is because we don't really know whether we will have the dollars to spend for those different pieces of equipment or not. So you have on the first page just kind of fixed assets that we would be looking at purchasing over the next 3 years. And then on the other side, you would have, on the next page, you would have capital projects that would be more of, kind of a facilities type of improvement. One thing that you will see as long as I am your superintendent is I'm kind of insane about parking lots. I like to keep our cracks filled, and I like to keep our parking lots in good shape because we do have a lot of acres under asphalt. And once you start neglecting your parking lots, you're just kind of asking for it because the cost to replace them is pretty high. Put in some ideas, some funding on auditorium. We would like to do some lighting updates, maybe some seating, some carpeting. And but for the most part, I have kept these capital projects on the third page fairly low and compared to what we budgeted in the past. Just kind of knowing, the kind of budget that we're getting ready to confront. So basically what happens with that is we will go over this again in our September hearing. And then in October, you would vote to accept the capital projects plan and or the bus replacement plan. Then you would sign the resolutions, and then we upload these into the DLGF, and that process would happen. So essentially, if you want to see, and I'll let Brooke talk really quick here, this is the detail of the budget. So this is everything that is the budget. And so basically we've just gone into Gateway and made PDFs of everything budget. And you have access to all of that. So if you want to you can look at that and kind of see where everything falls and how those dollars are spent. And then we will ask you for permission to advertise for the budget. And once you give us permission, probably in the next 24 hours, this will become active, and anybody that would want to see it from the DLGF side would be able to go to this link and look at it. But you got to give us a little bit of time to get all that moving forward, because I have to go in and check yes on a bunch of things. Yeah, exactly. And usually Brooke is standing over me going, you missed that. So anyway, which is good. So basically, that's it. Any questions? I know it's riveting. Okay. So on the 23rd, it'll be take two. So that's right. So,
Very good. All right, next would be on the agenda is just to review our board agenda for the following meeting. I don't know if anybody had modifications to the agenda or any questions about the agenda. Anything? Everybody good with it? All right, silence is compliance. All right, well then, with that, I would say we were going to adjourn our work session, and we'll reconvene at 6:30 for our regularly scheduled school board session. So we are adjourned.
Thank you, guys. Yeah. Hey, it's coming along. Thank you for asking. Oh, no. I had that done a year ago and it did nothing. Oh, no. I'm sorry. It's, I just think it's getting old, doesn't it?
She was everywhere with them. They go on
Like
trips
the
and
whole, like, I
just
do
even, like,
more, like,
so whatever. So they have each other.
I talked to
I don't know
Austin
if it's
at
the
Sport
same.
Festival, you
She has
know.
a bunch of the same friends from. She's 86.
Can't, I haven't even been home,
Friends with
like,
people she's
whatever
known
weeks or
since
something. He said, I
elementary
just started
school.
school. And
So
I
it's
was
getting
like,
tougher. It's getting tougher.
you know, but I get it. I mean, he's still
Maybe
new and like
she's-
acclimating,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's just like,
Strawberries with when they were 5 years old.
Yeah.
Walmart.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
it's just that whole like,
How much fun?
I can tell you how many times
She's
you
mentally.
just don't even
Between the
understand
two
how
of
much
them,
stress I'm under. I have had
Oh
that
my
sometimes.
gosh.
And you're like, it sounds
Oh,
horrible. It sounds
yeah.
absolutely
She took him
miserable
to
for
the
any
hospital
person
for
to ever have
appointment
to.
one day because
How do
she's
you
physically better
ever,
to drive.
ever?
Yes.
If he's with her, that's like help navigate. Well, while she was waiting, she
Yeah,
figured out what she was doing.
yeah.
If you separate your lights and your darks.
Just pulled over somewhere.
Oh, you can watch
Called
those?
Yeah. Couldn't tell it what she was.
That dude
I
is
do
funny.
remember one of my kids calling, like, hey mom, I want to let you know I watched this before I came home just to make you proud. And I was like, okay.
She took him to the doctor and
Thinking
went back
we
out
didn't
and
do
drove
that back in
away and then
November?
didn't know where she was.
Now, Sam came home for his first weekend home from school to get a card from us. And he left his whole laundry basket in my laundry
Basically homebound.
And I said, Sam, you gonna need any of this? And he's like,
Occasionally getting
I'm
her
okay.
hair
He's
done.
like, I mean, all my
Oh,
inputs
your
are in it.
mom.
I was like,
Ray's wife.
seems
Yeah.
like a problem, right? I got,
She's famous.
you know, just,
Gotta love that though. We may
My
never
daughter
see
was being
Gator.
All right.
where's he at?
She was upset about something.
All right, well, are we good back here?
Yeah, I hope she's
All right, well, it is 6:30, so we will call to order the Tipton Community School Board meeting. We are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance and our vision statement. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Growing empowered, future-ready students who are prepared for a lifetime of opportunity and success. Sorry, I'm having trouble with connection. Oh, it's okay. All right. We're good. All right.
That's interesting.
While we work on our connection. That we've moved on to the point in our agenda with, which is Tell Me Something Good, which is opportunity for the board to communicate some things they've seen, whether academics or athletics or around the grounds, that was encouraging. So I'd open it up for Tell Me Something Good.
I would just like to highlight our students and staff, administration. I mean, this last weekend was so busy with Pork Festival, homecoming, and so many different events. And it was just so fun to see so many of our students participate in that, whether just from the pageant to the parade and just football game and the weekend activities. Just so proud of them for just managing their time and just showing up to represent our school really well in our community.
Thanks, Jen. Anybody else? All right. Well, we will move on to the Blue Future Awards. I think that's me,
That's
right?
you.
Oh my gosh, I'm up already.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna need the little podium thing for this.
Yes.
So,
Oh, I know, that's not bad.
okay. I've got a bunch of Blue Future Awards, but we're gonna try and roll through this pretty quickly. As a school board member, you get an opportunity to interact with other school board members around the state. And I will say consistently, one of the things that I always hear from other schools and school board members is our FFA program and the teachers and the kids and our accomplishments. And so over the summer, a lot of stuff goes on over the summer for FFA, and we're not always in tune with that. And we're catching up from a lot of stuff that happened over the summer. So bear with me on this. But these students deserve a tremendous amount of recognition for this work that happened when school wasn't kind of in session, so to speak, on some of this stuff. So the first Blue Future Award that I have is for Maggie Klein, Lillian Cloud, and Brogan. Oh, Brogan's, I usually see the hair, but it's not here. Okay. So, so this is for them. They had the Hoosier Degree Award, and it's the highest state level degree awarded by the Indiana FFA Association. It recognizes members for significant achievement in their supervised agricultural experience program, leadership development, and community service. So I wanted to take a moment to recognize Maggie, Lillian, and Brogan for the Hoosier Degree Award. I don't know if anybody's, are any of them here?
Yeah, there's
Soccer. They chose soccer over me? Okay. All right, it won't be the last. All right, then our next one is for the natural resources demo, first place, and that went to Maggie Klein. And the natural resource demonstration at a state FFA competition is a hands-on event where student teams showcase their knowledge and skills in managing natural resources like soil, water, and ecosystems through practical problem solving and data interpretation. And Maggie finished first place. Right. Next is the Discovery Ag Issues second place award. Discovery Agricultural Issues competition at the state FFA competition is an event specifically designed for middle school students, grades 7 through 8. And I was amazed when I read this. These are 7th and 8th grade students that did this. They're working towards their Discovery FFA degree. It's a modified introductory version of the Agricultural Issues Forum. It challenges these young students to research a local agricultural issue, build a presentation outlining the pros and cons, and deliver it to a panel of judges. Our team finished second in the state, and that team was Olivia Ogden, Caroline Rodabaugh, Elena Mast, Alexis Middleton, Claire
Minky.
Menke, okay, I'd have lost that one, Sophia Ripberger, and Courtney Fernand. So if you're here, not gonna expect me to know all the names, are you? Okay. All right. Do we have Olivia? Caroline's not. Alexis. Here is Alexis. Congratulations, Claire. And Sophia. You betcha, thank you. Nope.
Yeah.
Good job, you guys. Great. The next one I have is for the AgriScience LDE poster. Was first place. It was awarded to Rylan Kane. The AgriScience LDE poster competition at the FFA State Convention is part of the leadership development events designed to enhance leadership skills among the FFA members. This competition focuses on demonstrating abilities in public speaking, decision-making, and communication related to agriculture and the FFA organization. Participants compete in various events, including poster presentations, to showcase their knowledge and skills in agricultural communications. Rylan won first place on that. All right, two more, and then you'll get to even more fun stuff. The Discovery Creed speaking, second place went to Monroe Stewart. The Discovery Creed speaking competition at the state FFA convention is designed for FFA members in grades 7, 8, and 9. Participants are required to recite the FFA Creed from memory and answer questions about its meaning and purpose. The event aims to develop public speaking skills, self-confidence, and professionalism among FFA members. Each chapter is allowed only one entry in this event, and the first place winner advances to the state event. So that was Monroe Stewart. And finally, save the best for last, Ag business demonstration, third place goes to Darcy. Done. Darcy, so the agricultural and farm management demonstration entails FFA members demonstrating the principles of farm organization and management with the utilization of technology or the concepts necessary for managing an agricultural related business from a local and global perspective. Topics included in this area are not limited to economic principles, decision-making, methods for organizing and planning, starting an ag or farming business, record keeping, risk management, safety management, entrepreneurship, and planning, organizing, and controlling and directing of an agribusiness. That's pretty impressive. So Darcy. Really don't want me in those. All right, that is me. I think the next is,
To the middle school. Okay. I have 3 Blue Future words to give, but only 2 of them are here. I could ask Mr. Matt Boyd and Ms. Jessica Pavey to join me up here. Okay. As they are coming up here, I'm going to go ahead and kind of share why I'm inviting them. The third person who I did not invite is the third member of the TMS Science PLC. I don't know if all of our board members know kind of about PLCs. I know at least one of us probably knows a very intimate amount about it, but PLCs are professional learning communities. It's kind of the gold standard framework for professional collaboration in educational settings. All of the work of PLCs are based on the 4 questions of PLC. What do we want students to know? Which is a question, of course, that gets down to curriculum. How will we know that students know it? That, of course, gets to questions of assessment. What will we do if students don't get it? In which case, we're talking about questions of intervention. And finally, the 4th questions, what do we do if students do get it, right? Which then goes to enrichment, and how do we go beyond that? We at TMS do PLCs every single week. We specifically have 2 meetings throughout the week. One of them is an official meeting of the PLC. Of course, our science PLC gets the least fun one, which is the 7th period one where they're exhausted at the end of the day, but they still do the best work that they can. And then another meeting where they do some prep work, making sure that they are putting together the materials that they need, curriculum, assessments, planning, putting together the data so they can have the most successful meetings. I wanted to honor our science PLC of our PLCs because this is a PLC that, in my opinion, really exemplifies what some of that great work is. Just looking at last year, they had a brand new curricular material. This is, of course, of having a year where they did not have a curricular material because we were waiting on that adoption for the Indiana Department of Education to get their acts together. So they had to overhaul their whole new curriculum for question number 1. As part of that, they had to look at assessment. Specifically, claim evidence reasoning was something that they really had to look into. Claim evidence reasoning is kind of a new take on hypothesis and the scientific method. It was embedded in their curriculum. They had to redesign their instruction, redesign their assessment, and all of that work they did as a professional learning community, as a PLC, every single day all together. And, to remind everyone, the results of that in their first year were pretty incredible, with our highest 6th grade science results in the area. And really that is a testament not only, of course, to Mr. Matt Boyd, who is our 6th grade science teacher, but to our science PLC as a whole. Now, Ms. Papey being here is a little bit funny. She is, of course, our newest science teacher. But one thing that she's been able to note as she is coming in, first off, she's just fitting like a glove, okay, into that science PLC. Part of that is just recognition of the fact that our PLC really put their best work into it such that they could have someone join the team and say, hey, this is what we do, this is what we're about. And Ms. Papey's been able to be a part of joining that. Honestly, this year, it's just really incredible to see already how, as they're answering the questions of PLC, I'm looking forward to seeing how this year grows on last year. And I wanted to congratulate them and exemplify and share that they exemplify that PLC work at TMS. So, Mr. Boyd and Ms. Papey, everyone.
down.
All right, tonight, TES is going to focus around teacher impact. That's going to be our area that we're giving Blue Future Awards around. Joined here by Miss Wigington, our assistant principal. This first group of teachers, their impact was brought out by parent recognition. Unfortunately, as a principal, a lot of times I hear the negative things. I get phone calls about negative things and so forth. But a couple weeks into school, I happened to have 3 conversations that week with families that had nothing but positive things to say about their students' experiences at TES. These students, 2 of them were brand new students to TES, and another one was a family that has a first grader and a kindergartner. The parent attended a different school growing up and was leery about Tipton Elementary, is what she told me. But we've done nothing but prove her wrong in the experience that our kids have had. So they just talked about every year we have new students coming from different experiences from previous schools, and these parents had nothing but amazing things to say about our staff, how welcoming we are, how flexible we are, how we do whatever we can to make their kids feel welcome and successful at Tipton Elementary School. So this group of teachers, they're not all around the same student, but around all 3 of these different students. So 5th grade teacher, Bryce Brown. Kindergarten teacher, Mara Eisenhower. Fifth grade teacher, Danelle Grubb. Fourth grade teacher, Sherry Leffler. First grade teacher, Ashley Nightenhelzer. Special education teacher, Nicole Oliver. And special education teacher, Alexis Perry Lepper. All right, our second group of teachers that we want to recognize for teacher impact are the 4 teachers that were recognized by senior football players this year at the first home game as teachers that had had a positive impact in their education. As elementary teachers and educators, we get to see kids at the very beginning of their career. And then they go on to middle school and high school. So sometimes we feel like we get disconnected from those students and we don't get to see the end result, the ultimate result of graduation. And this is a pretty neat award that in recognition that the high school has started to do. So these 4 teachers were recognized by seniors on the football team. Diane Degenkolb, 2nd grade teacher. This may be a first for Blue Future Awards, one person getting recognized twice in one night. Sherry Leffler, 4th grade teacher. Monica Rich, third grade teacher. And third grade teacher, Allison Rittberger.
Maybe we should try and do that. See how many pictures we need then.
Is Nikki Clifford here? Oh, there's Okay, I think you're my solo one. So I've got a stack of Blue Future awards to hand out here. But kind of as you found out, Rob,
Yep.
a lot of our athletes, our students are out busy tonight. So we have every high school team in action tonight except for the cross country team. So I'll go ahead and ask Nikki to come up. I wanted to recognize two groups today at Tipton High School. First is Student Council. Mrs. Clifford is the sponsor for that, but Student Council is in charge of all things really school culture. They look at homecoming, they organize food drives, they do just a lot of planning and things around to make students feel welcome and create opportunities for them to come in and have a strong interaction with the school and a good community and culture. So I wanted to recognize Mrs. Clifford, President Brogan Ferd, he's playing soccer, Kennedy Lancaster, who is vice president and is currently playing golf, Isla Wolfert, who is currently playing soccer, she is secretary, Treasurer Quinn Smith, who is playing soccer, and Public Relations Officer Braxton Carpenter for their work so far in a successful homecoming. They had Hocochella, which is like a music thing, I guess, or something. But it's the groups like this, like, I have not a whole lot to do with student council, and Mrs. Clifford meets with these kids regularly during advisory, and they come in before school sometimes and after school, and they meet a lot to make plans and pull things together. So some days you show up and the hallways it's like, what's the movie with the pumpkin and where they like everything just kind of changes and it looks pretty? You know what I'm talking about? Cinderella, that's the one. Yeah, it's kind of like that. You walk in and the hallways look great. Sorry.
Needs to get cable.
The dress days are all well organized, and I feel like this year our kids really surrounded homecoming, and we had kind of a good energy and a good flow with everything, and that's because of their planning. I want to give a special shout out to Braxton for being the public relations officer. She has done a fantastic job with the student council page on Facebook, making sure she's snapping photos, because those things last forever. I mean, you'll be able to look back and check those kind of things out. So here's my plug for follow Tipton High School on Facebook, follow Tipton High School, and Instagram. Apparently, I haven't gotten that far because I don't have cable or any of that kind of stuff. But I did want to just recognize student council and the work that they do. So thank you, Mrs. Clifford, and all of your student athletes.
I think he's trying to finish.
Yeah, very, very good. Yes. And then the next group, none of them are here. Mr. Robertson is currently at a Fever game, I think, because he's a big Fever guy. Josie Butler's playing golf, and Preston Lancaster, I don't know what Preston's doing. Probably watching his sister. Let's say that. Let's go with that. I wanted to recognize them because Mr. Robertson every year does a lot with the Blue Crew, and this year has been kind of a renewed focus to try to get it more like a club instead of just a section in the stand. So we've already had like a whole Blue Crew a meeting where we had 160 of our students that have signed up. They'll get a free T-shirt from the city of Tipton, so that we'll have kind of like that collective unit behind the Blue Crew. But the point of that is just to get more kids at more events, cheering on their classmates, so that even if they're not an athlete, they're on the grounds of our school, because we know that the more they can be around the school outside of just the educational day, the better the experience is going to be, the more they're going to show up every day, and the more proud they are to be a Blue Devil. So I just wanted to recognize John, Preston, and Josie for their work so far. Thank you.
All right, I need to move that. Oh, no, you gotta try that knee out. See how it's doing. All right, so that is the end of the Blue Future Awards. If you came for Blue Future Awards, this would be the time if you wanted to graciously exit, or you're going to get deep dived into budget talks. So we'll give you a second to filter out.
Oh, good job.
Everybody didn't leave?
That's clever.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and we're,
All right. Next on our agenda is comments from the community. We had one. Laura?
It's on, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just wanted to quickly briefly talk about two of the policies that were listed on the agenda for tonight, and one of them was regarding the audio and the video digital recording at school meetings. And it's quite a thing to navigate our website to find like the policy, and I think I found the updated one based on questions that were asked from last month's meeting. But I just have really some questions concerning this 24-hour window of notification as to when, like, a parent or guardian is to notify the school regarding recordings of, like, parent meetings or parent-teacher conference meetings and things like that. Because currently up in Whitley County, regarding this specific issue, there has been a case filed in federal court for this very policy to be overturned. And I ask this because the reason that was cited, it was given for why there has to be a 24-hour notification is because it frequently materially interferes with corporations' educational mission, which with the Parent Bill of Rights, and they were codified by our own legislator in this state this last session, and they passed it, which states that parents have a fundamental right to control and direct the education and upbringing of their children. So I'm trying to reconcile how that would interfere in any way with the educational mission of a school. And since not every school has this policy requiring the 24 hours, I would strongly encourage you to relook at that, especially since it's being challenged now in federal court. I really don't know how any rational reason as to why that would prohibit a parent from doing that. I mean, so many things can arise in a meeting, and I say that from someone who's never recorded a meeting in my life. But when there's so much emphasis put on this, and especially the violations that'll happen if a parent doesn't seek this permission 24 hours ahead of time, it kind of makes me think, why, like, should we be recording? Like, what aren't we being told? Like, why do we need a 24-hour notice? And shouldn't what we say together in private be the same in a meeting, whether it's recorded or not? Like, that's the fundamental trust. So I just wanted to say that about the policy as you consider approving it or not. And the second one, really quickly, was regarding the suicide prevention policy. And I read through the whole policy, but I failed to see where it mentions in there specifically regarding the parents' involvement. Again, specifically given that Indiana passed the Parental Bill of Rights, giving parents that fundamental right and control to direct the upbringing of their children. And in that policy, it talks a lot about referrals to 4C and counseling sessions with school counselors, but I don't see anywhere in there where it includes the parents or notifies the parents. And I would
That's
want to be
time.
notified.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Laura. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Next on our agenda is the consent agenda. That consists of approving the agenda for this evening, the approval of minutes from the work session, the regular session, and the public hearing from August 12th, the approval of claims from August 15th and August 29th, and the AP run for September of 2025. We have two personnel reports for approval tonight, August 25 and September 25. I'll read those at the conclusion of this. Approval of field trips, we have the Tipton High School senior trip to New York City, and then also the FFA SOAR and Fire overnight trips. You haven't seen an attached list of accepted donations. And so that is our consent agenda for tonight. I would look for a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items. All those that vote in favor, would you please signify by saying aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The August personnel report from certified staff positions. We have the resignation of Terry Schmidt, science teacher in the middle school. We had the recommendations for Alexis Bell to part-time pre-K teacher. And Jessica, who was here earlier, for the science teacher in the middle school, and Ashley Nguyen for kindergarten teacher in the elementary school. Classified staff resignations, we had Alec Weddle as the athletic director for TMS and the athletic assistant for the high school. We have Lydia Vandevender, who is a cafeteria worker, Natasha Surface, who is an instructional assistant. Those were resignations. The recommendations are for Natasha Surface to be a kindergarten adjunct teacher, for Joseph Hummerkaus to be a health adjunct teacher in the middle school, Alina Henry for library assistant in the high school, Lisa Webster for part-time pre-K paraeducator in the elementary school, Angela Emery for cafeteria employee, and Michelle Russell for cafeteria employee at the Tipton Middle School. ECA staff resignations, we had Joe Gosnell from the varsity head softball coach position, Alec Weddle from 8th grade boys basketball head coach, and Andy Hassong from the varsity head baseball coach at the high school. And recommendations on ECA staff, Kim Warner for a key club sponsor for the high school, Rachel Ripberger for assistant soccer coach in the high school, and Missy Henry for the supervisory athletic department or director in the middle school. That was the August the August personnel report. On to the September personnel report. Maternity leave was requested by Emily Pafford. We have recommendations for Jason Shuck for the high school and middle school agricultural temporary teacher to backfill for Emily. Classified staff, Ashley Cunningham is a resignation as a third shift custodian. And ECA staff, we have resignation of Lori Crawford from the middle school student council sponsor, and Corbin Nelson as the high school assistant swim coach as a resignation. Recommendations in ECA staff are Jeff Walker, academic coach for the elementary school, Brian Johnson for the varsity boys baseball coach for the high school, Tanner Scott for the Tipton Middle School student council sponsor, and Melinda Fernung, almost called her Mrs. Fernung, Melinda Fernung, senior class sponsor for Tipton High School, Kim Warner, senior class sponsor, Tipton High School, Fred Henderson, junior class sponsor for Tipton High School, Ashley Roberts, junior class sponsor for the high school, and Olivia Gonzalez for junior class sponsor for the high school. John Robertson for Block 6 PLC lead, Dee Jackson for the Block 7 PLC lead, Kim Robertson for Block 8 PLC lead, and Amy Cole for Block 9 PLC lead. Those are all recommendations for the high school. That concludes the August and September personnel reports. All right. At this time, the board's going to recess from a regular business meeting for the purpose of conducting a brief public hearing. Do I have a motion for recess?
Move to recess the regular school board meeting.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. We are recessed. And
Yes, so we're going to do a call to order for our public hearing. This is the public hearing that notifies the community that we are beginning the collective bargaining cycle. So I hereby call to order the public hearing to begin the formal bargaining process between Tipton Community School Corporation and the Tipton Education Association. We do have an opportunity for public comment, if anyone would like to give public comment in regards to the bargaining window and its opening. Okay. This was a very long meeting. So do I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
I move to adjourn the public hearing. Second.
All right, and then I need a motion to convene the regular business meeting again.
I move to reconvene the school board meeting.
Right.
Second.
Thank you very much. All right, from that, we'll go straight into the superintendent's report.
Don't you just love the General Assembly? They are just so awesome.
Love statutes.
They make us do all kinds of fun things. Okay, anyway. All right. Superintendent's report. Kind of, I read the re-roofing project, just kind of wanted to let you know about how things are going. We had a kind of a freaky little storm a couple of weeks ago where some water got up under the membrane and ended up getting down into one of our server rooms. Did cause some server damage. The company that is doing the roofing, as well as R.L. Turner, covering all the damage. I mean, it's something that was negligent on their side. So I do want to say a special thank you to Stephen and his team, because I don't think we had very little, if any, interruption. And it was actually could have been a pretty big thing. So I just want to thank them for jumping in and kind of rerouting some things and making sure that we had Wi-Fi on the top floor and all that kind of crazy stuff. And again, these things just happen. So, but we're certainly glad that everything has turned out okay. Inferno roof. This is going to be happening over the next 6 weeks. So it's a little bit of a slow process with that roofing project. They are replacing the ephes, which is, you might have noticed, it's kind of like that stucco looking stuff that's tan. We had to take that down and replace it with the metal because if we leave the stucco stuff up there, it can actually void our roof warranty, which would be bad. And so they're replacing that with the metal that is on the east and the west side. So it'll all look the same. We're also replacing a couple of hoods up there on the roof project. And then the way they're going to do the Inferno is they're starting at the peak, moving to the north, then going back to the peak, moving to the south, and then they'll move on down to the academic wing. So the Inferno roof is kind of the one that I get a little bit nervous about because it is fairly tall and there is a little bit of a pitch to that roof. So anyway, so that's starting, and I again that seems to be going really well. Besides a small bit of server damage. Hey, if you're walking out back, the chiller's here. The chiller arrived last week, and we got it a little bit earlier than what we anticipated. And I think it was just to let us know that then the Dectron was going to be delayed because we were supposed to get the Dectron in October. So the Dectron is going to be a March delivery, so a little bit of a delay there. They will replace the new chiller over fall break. So they're set to begin that on the Monday of fall break. And basically they'll bring a crane in, take the old one out, put the new one in, about the same footprint. So it should be a pretty quick process. But it's here, and that's a good thing. That was earlier than we anticipated. Hey, I would like to thank these awesome students for helping out with the Pork Fest parade. I love the fact that we have such awesome kids, and I love the fact that they're willing to help us out. So we did run out of candy, which is one of those things that we really try not to do, but we did run out of candy. So again, I'm gonna have Scott take a mental note that buy 3 times more candy. For next year. And again, I do appreciate these kids. Again, we wanted to represent a wide variety of activities, and they did so. So again, great kids. Appreciate them showing up and doing what they do. I also want to thank our administrators. I love to hear our kids when they see our administrators on the parade route, because they're just like, oh my gosh, they're so excited to see everybody. And what I truly love is to hear our administrators who respond to them by name. That's impressive. That is something that I was never very good at. And so I really appreciate our administrators and how they have built relationships with our kids and how they know our kids. And again, it's just a kind of a great experience to kind of sit and watch.
I did hear the cameraman ate all the candy. That's why I didn't get any.
That's what was going on, you know?
That was the
gotta keep
rumor in
it-
the crowd where I
He
was.
was
Yeah.
like, he
It was some
with,
candy.
like one hand photographed.
I know.
Like,
Yeah, he's got to keep
He's
the
got to keep his
energy.
energy up.
Yeah, got to keep the energy. I do want to, we've had a great fall here with athletics. Things are going really well. The homecoming activities were just incredible. Again, a thank you to the admin for the parade, and it's just exciting to see how our community and our students and everybody is engaging in what's happening in our schools. So it's always just it's a fun time of year, and it feels like this year is going to be a special year. So you like to have that feeling, and so again, just great things happening. Okay, now it's for some fun stuff. Okay, we got this on Thursday. I think it's the first time we've actually ever received this as an official report. But one of the markers that is taken from our Form 9, which is always due in June, is basically if we are holding up our end of the deal as far as statute and pay. Okay, so the first one here is teacher compensation. So we are asked to spend at least 62% of all of our education fund dollars towards teacher compensation. So our actual number is 68.74. So we have far exceeded that 62% with a lot of our dollars that are in tuition support going directly to teacher pay and benefits. We also get a report about for potential excessive transfer. Once again, as I've mentioned before, you can transfer 15% of the education fund dollars into the operations fund. We've never been close to that. We ended up being at 3.91%. Okay. And now for a little bad news. Back in 2025, or I'm sorry, actually 2022, I guess. The legislature created what was called the funding floor. Essentially, the funding floor says that we can never pay fewer dollars out to our teaching staff than we did the year before. Now, that's all fine and dandy, but the reality is as enrollment declines, as our staffing decreases, we are going to end up not hitting that funding floor. So this is the first year we've done it. I didn't think we'd do it until next year, but
They
so,
realize the older teachers that retire make more than the younger teachers we hire, right?
yes,
And we should all send them an email.
you
just
should.
Make sure they
I'm
know.
serious. Really
know.
should.
You know I will.
It is ridiculous,
Yeah,
and
there's no way around that.
I know it. I know it. And so we missed it by 21,000. But part of the process is, and this is just all the figures. Part of the process is that we have to acknowledge it in a public board meeting, and then you will all get a letter from the IDOE as well as an email from the IDOE saying that we did not make the funding floor threshold. And then this is kind of a matrix of how it all works. So if less than the funding floor, then IDOE will let you know, and then we have to do this public notice, and then we have to do we have to put something on our website saying that we didn't make it. I'm gonna say, guys, this is probably going to be an annual occurrence. I mean, it's not something that I'm happy about, but it's just something that as things change, it's going to be really hard for us to maintain that level of funding for our staff. And so, anyway, this is just kind of a real quick,
Does it reset every year? So like what we spend this year is compared to next year, or is it, how does it? You know what I mean?
Yes, maybe. I don't know the answer to that. I didn't get the impression that it was. I think that the high threshold is where it stays.
Okay.
But that's a good question. I need to find that out. So that's a good question. I'm sorry. Oh, yes. And the amount of full-time teachers out. So it's a comparison, what, from 22 to 24? Yeah. And what happens is we got a per pupil funding increase. So they're calling that an increase in funding. But it may not be, we may not have more dollars in the education fund than what we had the year before because because of the number of staff and different things. So, again, it's kind of one of those little silly things, but we are doing it. We want to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do with this process. But again, I look at the other side of it where we're almost paying 70% of all of the dollars that we get towards teacher benefits and salary. I feel like that other matrix is telling us that we're doing the right things. So anyway, I did want to do a really quick congratulations to Mrs. Hartley. Mrs. Hartley was named the 2025 Agriculture Sciences Education and Communication Distinguished Alumnus. And she will be honored on Friday at Purdue. I'm going to be able to go and be with her on that. We are so fortunate, as Rob said earlier, to have such a really strong ag program. And we are so fortunate to have 3 excellent educators. And so we are excited to be able to acknowledge Mrs. Hartley and this great honor. And we'll also do a bit of a press release in the following weeks or so, just to make sure that everybody knows that we've got this incredible teacher. And even though we all knew it, now everybody will know that. So anyway, congratulations to Mrs. Hartley. Upcoming events. So the TAG grant language we found out today is coming out in March. And so it is a competitive grant versus just a grant that we would get. So as we find out more information from that TAG grant, we will share it. It's a big mess. I'd love to be a little bit more professional in that, but it's kind of it's really complicated. The 2026 budget public hearing will be the 23rd at 5:30. We'll ask for approval of the 26 budget in October, and hopefully have the approval of our 25-26 collective bargaining agreement in that same meeting in October as we begin formal negotiations in the next couple weeks. So that is it.
Very good.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda just was for you to review the department reports. Mr. Jaworski had some more test score breakdown in there. And then Adam and Stephen with theirs, and then wanted to notice the addition of the athletic director's report to us. And it was encouraging to read all that that is going on there. So thanks to Colin for taking the time to start including that in our reports. Next item on the agenda would be our financial report, and I will turn it over to Brooke.
Thank you. For August, we did transfer 100,000 from education to the operations fund. August was also our 3-pay month, and we ended the balance on August 31st in education with 920,424.89, in operations $846,180.54, and debt service $1,058,261.09. The rainy day fund $1,802,320.61. Interest came in at $21,059.23 with a year-to-date of $170,220. And then we will get operations and rainy day reimbursed for the some of the construction expenses it's fronting when we get the GEO bond closed in October. And then our corporation AFR and food service AFR were completed and submitted timely.
Thank you, Brooke. Moving on to old business, we do have the third reading for the special legislative updates of the 2025 CCHA board policies. We have the administrative guidelines and forms B100, the board authority and philosophy, the student suicide prevention and awareness, the audio, video, and digital recording on school property and of school meetings, and the updated notice of executive session. So I would be looking for, upon third reading here, a motion and a second to approve those policies.
I move to approve our, the third reading for the policies as listed in our packet.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second to approve the policies listed in the packet upon third reading. All those in favor, would you please signify by saying aye?
Can we,
Go on.
discuss first?
Oh,
So I have
you
a-
can.
Okay, I just want to ask, because Beth had some questions with these, I just wonder if Beth's questions were answered, if you ever got any clarification. On all four of them. Okay, great. And then we met, part of the policy committee met, and I don't want to put you on the spot, Scott, but I just, since Laura asked some questions before about these, and we had kind of talked about those with, our lawyers, I just wonder if you could provide any more clarification to Laura just on those couple of questions she had.
Regarding the student suicide prevention and awareness, I don't know if we can put a policy in that dictates what parents would do with suicide prevention. Just notification of it. I believe, is that not? Yeah, that's part of law, if I'm not mistaken, is that we need to notify parents within a certain time frame. So I don't know if that necessarily needs to be embedded in the policy. The CCHA typically recommends that we don't, just simply restate the law with our policies. It's something that if that's already built into the law, you don't need to include that. You need to include everything else with it. And then as far as the G350, which is the audio, video, and digital recording on school property and school meetings, I am not familiar, but I'm aware of the case you referenced that's currently going through. I would argue that that's probably a reason why we wouldn't make an additional change on this. I would keep it as is until that plays out. Once that plays out, based off the ruling, that's when I would say, let's go back and review that policy again. But for now, this update is simply, in compliance with the changes in the recent legislative action.
Thank you, Scott.
Yep.
I figured you remembered a little better than I did, so I just wanted to get her
Yep,
questions
all good,
answered and
yep.
make sure Beth's questions have been answered.
Thank you. Thanks for stopping there. I was on a roll.
Sorry.
So I do have a motion and a second. Questions have been resolved. All those in favor of approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is our academic calendar. Last month, we considered options for the 26-27 calendar that's in your packet. Based on feedback from last meeting, the TCSC administration is now recommending a revised break calendar with a start date of Wednesday, August 5th, and ending Friday, May 21st. This provides a balanced calendar between the fall and spring semester and reduces the number of shortened weeks due to extended break, and it aligns with the KSEC academic calendar. I would entertain a motion and a second on to approve the academic calendar.
I move to approve the academic calendar, the final draft that we have in our packet.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions on that? All right, all those in favor of approving the academic calendar, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The calendar is approved. Moving on to new business, approval to advertise the proposed 2026 budget. The 2026 budget, capital project plan, and bus replacement plan were shared during the public work session prior to this meeting. Permission is requested to advertise the 2026 proposed budget for the education, debt service, and operations funds, along with the capital projects and bus replacement plans. A public hearing is scheduled for September 23rd, 2025 at 5:30, and the board would then consider approval of the complete budget at the October 14th, 2025 school board meeting. May I please have a motion and a second to approve the advertisement of the proposed 2026 budget?
I move to approve the advertisement of the 2026 budget, proposed budget.
Second?
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the proposed budget. Any questions? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Also under new business, we have the first reading of batch 7 of the CCHA Board Policy Administrative Guidelines and Forms, and in your packet is batch 7 of the updated CCHA Board Policy Forms and Administrative Guidelines. No action is necessary this evening for the first reading. Second reading and adoption will be in our October monthly meeting. Next item on our agenda is other matters to come before the board. We do have one advisory committee. As mentioned earlier, we have the Expense Reduction and Review Committee. This is for the public's interest. This is a new committee that's been formed with the board and the administration to help look at potential cost savings in response to Senate enacted or SEA 1. And so that will be meeting on the 15th. And thank you to Eric for kind of chairing that from the board's perspective. So I appreciate the help there. The next schedule of events is September 15th and 16th, the Indiana School Board Association and the IAPSS Fall Conference is happening downtown. September 23rd, we do have that special board meeting where Dr. Glaze gets to present his budget again. And then September 26th, we have the Tesso Movie Night. October 7th, believe it or not, is the end of our first 9 weeks. And October 8th is Parent-Teacher Conference. Students do not attend that. And October 14th will be our next meeting in these chambers. Last item for business, I'm sorry.
Nothing, sorry.
Oh.
Like your use of the word chambers.
Oh, well, okay, it's the gallows, whatever you call it. However you want to put it.
Whatever,
Um,
get it.
So, but the last item is the TCSC presentation for ISB, the fall conference. So, Tipton Community School Corporation has put an emphasis on improving student attendance for the past few years with very encouraging early returns. Like many schools across the country, COVID had a dramatic impact on how Tipton prioritized illness prevention over in-person attendance. This led to increased learning loss for many of their students. In an effort to right the ship, Tipton targeted student attendance as the means to return and exceed pre-pandemic achievement levels through consistent internal or intentional communication with families and a revamped attendance policy. Tipton has seen an incredible bounce back in attendance with their achievement data following suit. Tipton Community School Corporation will be presenting these findings to peers at the Indiana School Board Association fall conference in downtown Indianapolis. So Dr. Glaze and Mr. Jaworski will be joining, I guess, taking control of the PowerPoint. And so we submitted and got approved for this. So I want to thank Mr. Jaworski for a ton of extra work in addition to his master's level work. But if I had to grade this, I would too give you an A+. So if that helps at all, but a ton of work went into this. But I think it's a great opportunity for us to showcase to other administrations how the efforts of Mr. Leach and Mr. Lyday and all the other administrators who are smiling and dialing when kids aren't where they're supposed to be. So it does have a huge impact. So wanted to recognize that. So with that being said, that is the end of our agenda, and I would take a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn the September meeting.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.
We need a book of Robinson.
Robinson.
My notes died.
I actually have them in the back.